Okay, what's up, everybody? Justin here with another Justin's Walk and Talk in Japan video series, and I'm gonna label this as episode 3. So last week I walked from the train station, largely to where I have breakfast before I go to work. So for this episode, I'm gonna film myself from walking from work down to the train station to go home. It's now about 4:45 p.m. But yes, so for this one, just like last time, we're gonna have to go through Okubo, Shinokubo, and Kabukicho again. But this time we're gonna see things from a different angle, and talk about what I observed and just some things that are on my mind. So recently on a Discord that I follow, Retro Crush, someone posted an article on Anime Herald about this. The writer Lauren Orsini did a survey about the generation gap, about anime fans, especially how younger ones, particularly those of Gen Z who are new to anime, and how they consume it, and how some of her findings was like, hey, even though she's sort of like around my age group, I consider myself to be part of the Oregon Trail generation, where it's like I'm between, let's say, the tail end of Generation X and the beginning of millennials, like how we kind of got into anime, pre-internet age, and like how today, with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, including my 5-year-old daughter, they pretty much have more access to content more than ever. And this isn't just, unique to just anime, but to a whole variety of media as a whole. So my daughter, she doesn't just exclusively enjoy watching, let's say, Crayon Shin-chan, especially some of the older movies and older episodes, but she does enjoy content from other countries. Like, for example, she's been watching the original Mr. Bean episodes on Netflix. Those are available in Netflix Japan. Gotta try and, let's say, avoid concentrating on people as much as possible. I don't want to be one of those stupid-ass nuisance streamers. Don't worry, I'm not going to, go up to someone and ask them like a dumbass question. Just kind of want to make the sites the focus of this video. But yeah, so going back, of course, we all have more access to content these days, and for people my age group and maybe older, this is a dream come true, especially when most of us got into anime during the mid to late 90s. It was just scarcely available. I mean, there was VHS tapes, 2 to 4 episodes, exclusively subbed or dubbed, and they were pretty pricey. And now these days, you could pay anywhere between, $5 to $15 for like a subscription service a month, and you could pretty much watch, not everything, but a good handful of stuff. And pretty much every streaming service these days can give you a good chunk of anime, and I think that's a good thing. And yes, and as a result, some of these respondents felt they were pressured by, older anime fans. Oh, if you haven't seen this particular anime, you're not a true anime fan. Or if you haven't seen, like, let's say 100 episodes or whatever, you're not a true fan. And yes, so elitism, or being territorial or gatekeeping, is still a unique thing. And I just think these kinds of attitudes are not really necessarily unique to, let's say, the anime community. This is also very true in other forms of fandom, most notoriously Star Wars. So yeah, I'm not saying it's makes it any better or worse. I'm just saying it's, hey, this isn't particularly unique. So I mean, even when the internet was starting out, during my preteen years, I did find a community about anime. And of course, the original author talked about, like, when she first got into anime, there wasn't really much of a community where she could share those interests. And I kind of understand that, especially, after growing up in, let's say, in the mainland continent of the USA, I didn't really get much interaction with people who are into it. So it was kind of like on me to get people into anime. And usually with my friends, Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, was sort of like my way of getting people or my friends into anime. And they're like, oh man, the action of Street Fighter 2 is so badass. They especially loved, the Chun-Li and Vega fights. Like, you don't really, especially during that time, you could never see anything like that. Like, my friends were able to see that, hey, anime does have a unique kind of creative appeal to it. And at the time, it wasn't heavily advertised. Of course, you had stuff like Sailor Moon and Ronin Warriors, but like depending on your local listings, the original Sailor Moon anime, in some locations, it was broadcasted between 5:30 a.m. and in some places it was between 9 and 9:30 a.m. So it was really difficult to watch, for example, Sailor Moon. Sorry. So yeah, just the accessibility back then, it was just really difficult. And of course, like when trying to rent anime like Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, a majority of that section were just mature titles like La Blue Girl, Magical Twilight, Guy. And let's just say by the time I was in 6th grade, that's like, man, I just saw a lot of shit that I shouldn't have been watching. I mean, of course, it also talks about like how we got into anime. I mean, me being Asian and Pacific Islander, it was kind of easy, especially when I have relatives still in that region, like especially let's say, the Philippines and Hawaii. It was like really easy for me to get access or gain exposure to this stuff. And I pretty much got into, let's say, Dragon Ball around the winter break of 94, 95 through the Mega Drive game. And then like when I saw the anime during my visit to the Philippines there that year, it was like, whoa, shit, like I never saw anything like this. And and then my cousins in the Philippines were explaining to me, like, hey, this is stuff from Japan, and like Japan makes like the best animated programs. And that was pretty much like the beginning of me understanding what anime was. Of course, I saw, let's say, Speed Racer, Voltron. No, they're not honking at me. Oh yes, this place called Gyoza no Osho. This place right here where I'm pointing to. This is a good place for gyoza and Yurinchi chicken. So they're all over Japan. So just memorize Gyoza no Osho in kanji. Whoa, fuck. Okay, the license plate indicates that it's like a registered to like some sort of foreign dignity, I think. Yeah, so I should have gone on a tangent for a second. So where we're passing through is like one of the international sections of Tokyo. My boss likes to call this Little Asia, at least this part. There's lots of Chinese, Vietnamese, and other South Asian restaurants and markets. Well, once you pass this bridge, here's Shin Okubo Station. What was it? Yeah, it's like on the Yamanote line. I don't like to use this line. I don't like to use this station because it gets pretty busy. So I'd prefer to take a long walk to another station I prefer using, which does take me directly home. Yeah, this goes in the loop. I don't want to like bump into anyone, so kind of like holding it like this. And then, once you kind of get out of this bridge, just cross that street and you're in Koreatown. And it's a pretty nice place, as I said before. Last time, I kind of showed you a bit of this place. And recently I've heard that that place is becoming more popular than Shibuya, but I can't say for sure. But like, if you're into K-pop, Korean food, you want Korean products, this place is where you want to go. And there you can see Kabukicho Tower. Yeah, I'm kind of going through some crowded places, so I want to be careful as I do this. Ramen place. Yeah, billboard for some K-pop superstar. No idea who the fuck this is. Taxis. Yeah, maybe this will give you an idea of like how fast I walk. Like people do complain that I walk fast. Oh yeah, so just trying to concentrate so I don't bump into anyone. And this right here, it is in the Yamanote line. I'm not sure if a train will pass by, but this is where the Seibu Shinjuku line passes by. It's another train line, but I've never used the Seibu Shinjuku line in my life. And if you've seen a Gretzko, you might recognize that, we're oddly shaped building over there. If you don't know what that is, it's some sort of architectural college, I believe. I haven't been there myself, but that's what I heard what that place is. Yay, vending machine. 2D cafe. And I think I posted a video of this on my TikTok. But if you've seen the live action Oshinoko, I think in episode 2 or 3, Ruby hangs out at this restaurant. Yeah, I don't want to be too much of a disturbance to businesses. Unless, they think it's cool, if they say it's cool for me, filming there. So, going back to that particular article, I just think some of the whole idea of elitism, especially in the anime community, it's always gonna be there to some degree. For example, the dubs versus subs debate. I'm surprised that that wasn't even addressed in the article, unless I missed it or something. I think it's one of my favorite. There it is. No, that's not the Seibu Shinjuku line. That looks more like the Saikyo line. That's the JR one. But anyway, I'm surprised no one talked about dubs versus subs yet. But it's just a lot of older fans are kind of putting pressure on younger fans. Hey, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch that, you gotta watch a certain amount of this. And it's just hey, where time is going to go on, and the anime industry, even though when we're gone, the anime industry will live on. And not just the industry, but the titles that came before us and are being broadcasted now, like Astro Boy or Tetsuwan Atom. He's going to be around forever. Well, I don't know. It's as long as Japan is still okay within the next few centuries, if they manage to fix their birth rate or whatever. But in that instance, there's the Seibu Shinjuku line now. And it's been a while since I've seen Shall We Dance, the original Japanese one. But I remember in that movie, the main character in that, I think he was either writing this line or it was the Seibu Ikebukuro line. It's been a while since I've watched it, so I need to reconfirm. Or if any of you are hardcore fans of the movie now, please let me know which line it was. It's maybe if you take this, you'll find the same dance school where the main character found that woman he kind of had a certain kind of infatuation with. Not sure if I should go into spoiler territory here, but it's he doesn't exactly have an affair with this woman. He just sort of has an interest, just some sort of interest in her that is minimally romantic. It's hey, he kind of feels like she can feel something that he feels a hole in him, in a sense. The guy, he has a good job, he has a wife and a daughter, but he kind of feels like something's missing. And I think the woman, the dance instructor, can sort of help him understand what it is he's missing. So that's, keep in mind that I have not seen the movie since either 1999 or 2000, so that could be it. Oh, there's a cop right there in the blue uniform. I remember in the beginning of Police Story 2 with Jackie Chan, he's pretty much on a motorcycle or a uniform akin to that, because if you've seen the first movie, I know I'm getting fucking spoilers here, he kind of goes all out on this criminal, he was antagonizing him, and he just beats the shit out of him, and due to those actions, he's demoted from being a detective to being just, a motorcycle cop, just patrolling the highways in Chips or something. But yeah. um, so anyway, going back to the article again. So I think for people of my age, especially, that article really had me reflect on my present job and my present position. During the summertime and the winter times, I do teach a course of anime and Japanese pop culture to college kids here in Japan. Most of these kids are from the U.S., but there are some that are from Australia. There are some that are from South Korea, some from Canada. Some from other neighboring countries like, Taiwan and China and the Philippines and so on. So, of course, this article does mostly focus on Americans and me being American myself, but, having spent my entire adult life here in Japan, I kind of want to get an idea of where, anime is in the U.S. and how it's becoming more appealing to everyone. Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to think and walk at the same time and just, articulate my thoughts. It's I got to be careful of my surroundings. And, now that we're entering Kabukicho, yeah, this is where, the hookers hang out. It's barely 5 p.m. They probably won't come out for a few hours, thankfully. But, yeah, and it's kind of fucking funny, as I said before, despite all these young ladies coming here, trying to proposition men. It's once you kind of turn left that way and just go 100 meters, there's a fucking police box there. It's wow, how the fuck did this happen? But as to why, this area is now becoming a spot for illegal prostitution, it's mostly because a lot of these ladies have accumulated debts to all these host clubs, and these hosts, they're paying thousands of dollars of booze, and if they can't pay it off, it's okay, just work this corner and make some money for me to pay off your debts. And and of course, the government is trying to do their best to step in, and I think there are some plans of trying to regulate the industry. But a lot of these guys are exploiting these young ladies who have little to no income. A lot of them, I think, are probably college students who work minimum wage, and now they're being exploited. So yes, this building right here, this is a koban, or police box, and despite you just turn right there, all of this shit is happening right under their fucking noses. Why, Japanese people? All right, there was no around for me to say that. But yeah, it's I want to kind of go in there right now and kind of ask why. But with a camera in my, my phone in my hand, maybe that's not a good idea. It just kind of makes me look, what's the word for it? Like a stunt TV kind of thing. It's hey, I'm trying to ambush you for views and whatnot, and I don't want to do that shit. Yeah, I just kind of want to go through a less crowded area. These are my streets. But I'll get back to the article soon. Just, want to give you this side of Kabukicho, which I didn't show you last time. And here's Millennial Tower, or a hotel. But this is Millennial Tower in the Yuga Gotoku games. And here's an advertisement for those pesky host clubs. Exploiting young women and forcing them into illegal sex work. Fuck them. So here are also some locations that will correspond from pop culture. So yeah, if you've seen the live action City Hunter on Netflix, you might recognize this I Love Kabukicho building. And I remember there's a scene where Rio and some guy, they jump out of a window on a nudo mat, which is sort of another form of legal sex service. And around this area, if you play the original Yuga Gotoku games, this is one bar where, this place is more of let's say, a restaurant now, but this is where the Bantam bar is, which played a main role in the original game. But it's not Bantam in real life. And here we have Godzilla vending machines. And of course, advertisers for hosts. A pet shop. Another karaoke con. And here are Mudio on Night Joe. So if you're trying to get some, and you're trying to find a place, to enjoy yourself, these places will take you to one. And here are the legal sex establishments, sections of Kabukicho. Don't worry, I'm not going to go inside and film it. Just kind of give you a general idea of where I am. And if you've played the Ryuga Gotoku games or Yakuza series games, you might recognize this place. Like, you might recognize this shrine. This is where you exchange points for certain things. And you might recognize this hotel, but it's not being operated right now. It's closed. Yeah. Red Bull motorcycle. Oh yes, here's Vigdershul, a big, host club. They have one in Osaka too. Super Angel. All right, so here's those host clubs. Fuck. I think we passed by where Kasuga's former family's office used to be, the Arakawa Gumi. We just passed by there. And there's a tout. Yeah, some of these places here are like relatively new. Kabukicho Gekijo. So Kabukicho Theater. Looks like they actually have some theaters here. Handjob Bar. Gyoza Restaurant. Oh yes, and this is the Shinjuku Shinjuku Ward Office, right next to all the fucking sex establishments. And if you've played the Ryuga Gotoku games, you might recognize this alley and that drawway bridge. And Hub, a place, to hook up with other gaijin, or, if you're looking for, say, a Japanese boyfriend or girlfriend, usually that's a popular place to hook up. That's where one of my good friends met his wife. And another karaoke con. Yeah, karaoke is pretty big in Japan. But yes, part of this video series is to make observations of my environment. So I do go on tangents a lot. So kind of going back to where I was earlier, it's part of my job is like not to be an elitist, but to nurture interests and understand where they are in their fandom and what they can do to, let's say, maintain that. And of course, I do introduce older titles, not just for the fact to, let's say, say you're not a true anime fan until you watch this. I take them to places like Akihabara and Ikebukuro, and a lot of these places here in Japan, they use older characters and older titles as part of their advertising campaigns. And if you go to Akihabara, for example, Astro Boy or Tetsuwan Atom is often used in campaign posters. And I think Marie Antoinette from Rose of Versailles, she's often used for as a mascot for some sort of makeup company. And when you kind of see hey, these characters are being used as let's say for advertisements, that kind of sparks their interest. They're they're oh, who's that character? Where's that anime from? And I don't really try and force that. It's hey, once they kind of get that first-hand exposure to it, and they can refer to me as the guy who can answer that question. That's where I can say oh, this is one of the most classically excellent animes of all time, and this is why. And then the following day in a classroom, we can use a theater, and even though a majority of them are not subbed or dubbed, I will show samples of that particular anime. For example, Amazon Prime in Japan has a whole echelon of old school titles, and I'll show, for example, let's say the first episode of Astro Boy, and they do get a kick out of it. It's I do have to provide context. Like, you know, this is a creation of Osamu Tezuka. Like, he was the godfather of anime and manga. So in a way, it's sort of like introduced, like, hey, you know, he's sort of like the Stan Lee or the Joe Shuster and the Jerry Siegel of anime and manga and whatnot. And when you kind of put it in that kind of context, like, that's where, you know, you could build the interest and whatnot. And yeah, so usually I don't expect like every person who gets into anime to ultimately get an interest in, let's say, Japan and wanting to come to Japan. But I think for those people who those are the people I deal with for work, you know, that's where I can use my senpai-ness or whatnot, or my sensei-ness to, let's say, understand where they're from and, you know, share some recommendations. And let them know that, like, hey, you're in a woke up part of the community, and like, hey, when you talk with like other Japanese people here about anime, you'll have a good time too. So that's pretty much like how I try to, you know, be a part of the anime community to this day, especially with my experiences and not just, you know, loving anime, but having translated anime and manga and video games, and, you know, living here in Japan for 19 of the last 24 years, and how I've seen the landscape change here in Japan from my viewpoint as an American. So, of course, I know I've seen that the American landscape, it's really gotten bigger, and it's like, wow, if you were to tell, like, let's say, you know, up to high school me, between 6th grade and 12th grade me, that anime will, you know, reach these kinds of heights in the US, I would have called you a liar. But I'm really surprised now more than ever. There's a big following with anime, that even celebrities, you know, are open about it. And unless it's Japanese celebrities, that's one thing. But non-Japanese celebrities, that's a whole nother. And I am really touched to see that, like, something that I fell in love with when I was 10, that somehow, that when I saw, yeah, it's kind of hard to concentrate without helping all these people, and I gotta go down some stairs, and these stairs are fucking steep. So yeah, it's nice to see that there are people who are seeing the creative appeal of anime like I did when I was 10. And it doesn't really matter how old you are or when you got into it. I think it's, you know, you got an interest in it and you want to see more, or, you know, see more at your own pace and see, you know, what works for you. And if anyone needs some advice, of course, I'm there to give it. Okay, I'm now gonna get to the ticket gate and take my train home. All right, talk to you next time.